Now let's move further to objective question 11. The question says 3 boys shared D 10,500. D in this case is dollar. So 3 boys shared $10,500 in the ratio of 6, 7, 8. Find the largest share. So the total amount that they are sharing, total amount they are sharing is equals to D, that's $10,500. Now the ratio that is being shared is equals to 6:7:8. Obviously this is 6 is the smallest ratio and 8 is the largest ratio. So in view of that, we will have to evaluate the total ratio. The total ratio is equals to 6 plus 7 plus 8. 6 plus 7 plus 8 is equivalent to 21. Now once we have 21 to be the total ratio, we cannot find the largest value. So the largest value or the largest share will have the formula of the largest or highest ratio. Let's use largest ratio. Now highest ratio will do fine. Highest ratio divided by the total ratio multiplied by the total amount being shared. Total amount being shared. Total. So making our substitution, the highest ratio is 8. The total ratio is 21. And the total amount being shared is D, that's $10,500. And we can use our calculator for this. Using our calculator for this will simply give us $4,000, which is equivalent to option A. Yes, we are advancing. Now let's move forward to question number 12. Question number 12 says the length of a piece of stick is 1.75 meters. A boy measured it as 1.80 meters. Find the percentage error. Now we have seen different forms of this question in both WAEC 2024 and 2023. Let's just implement it here. We are given that, okay, so let's stick to black for now. The original piece, that means the original length of the stick is 1.75 meters. The measured length is equals to 1.80 meters. So the difference can be maybe parallax error or zero index error, as the case may be. Now we are asked to find the percentage error. So what is the formula for percentage error? Let's just recall that percentage error will be equals to the error itself divided by the original length multiplied by 100%. So in view of that, what is the error itself? Now in this case, we can see that the measured length is greater than the original length. So in this case, error will be equals to the measured length minus the original. So with this, we can evaluate what is needful. Let's begin with the error. So error is equals to measured length, that's 1.80 meters, minus the original length, which is 1.75 meters, and we will have this to give us 0.05 meters. So moving on, we can now evaluate the percentage error. The percentage error will be the error itself, the error which is 0.05 meters, divided by the original length. The original length is 1.75 meters, multiplied by 100%. Of course, meters will nullify meters, and we're left with 0.05 divided by 1.75 multiplied by 100%. Now we can simply use our calculator here. What is 0.05? Oh, before we use our calculator, let's look at the options. The options here means we have to convert it to fractional index. So if we use our calculator for 0.05, 1.75, we have to make it in terms of fraction, and in terms of fraction this will give us 1 divided by 35. 1 divided by 35 multiplied by 100%, so this will give us 100 divided by 35%. So now this is an improper fraction. Let's turn it to a mixed fraction. But before we can turn it to a mixed fraction, let's divide further by 5. Dividing further by 5, 100 divided by 5 will give us 20, 35 divided by 5 will give us 7. Now this is easily divisible, so 7 in 20, we'll have 8 to give 2, and we'll have a remainder of 6 divided by 7%. So therefore we have the percentage error to be 2 number 6 over 7%, which is equivalent to option C. So remember the formula for error and also the formula for percentage error. Now, WAEC 2022 objective question 13. We're given that if 5x plus 3y is equals to 4 and 5x minus 3y is equals to 2, we should find the value of 25x squared minus 9y squared. I mean, when you look at some questions, sometimes you get you are stunned, but then when you know the principle to apply it, you say that, oh, this thing is very simple. So we have 5x plus 3y is equals to 4, 5x minus 3y is equals to 2. And we elect what's the meaning of 25x squared minus 9y squared? How do I get that concept from here? So okay, some might just choose to say that, okay, fine, this is equation 1, equation 2. I can find the value of x and y using simultaneous equation. And I will just come back here and just make a substitution of the values of x and the values of y. But then that's not the essence of this question. The essence of this question is for you to understand the difference of two squares. That's algebra. So let's go back in time, and a squared minus b squared, this is the difference of two squares. Difference of two squares, that's a squared minus b squared, is equals to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So now all we just have to do now is to make this question, that's 25x squared minus 9y squared, in the format of 5x plus 3y and 5x minus 3y. Now let's apply that. 25 is 5 squared. 5 squared x squared. 9 is also 3 squared y squared. Oops, 3 squared y squared. And if we move further, we can combine these two together, and this will give us 5x squared minus 3y squared. Now this is interesting. Now we have a relation to a squared minus b squared. So in this case, we are saying that a is equals to 5x. A is equals to 5x. And we can see b is equals to 3y. B is equals to 3y. So now let's just rewrite the formula of a squared minus b squared down here. We have a squared minus b squared is equals to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So if we make the necessary comparison now and say 5x squared minus 3y squared will be equals to what? 5x plus 3y. Okay, because we can see the comparison here. A to be 5x, B to be 3y. A is 5x, B is 3y, and then we complete it by multiplying it by 5x minus 3y. So A is 5x and B is 3y. So if we now look at the question afresh now and say if 5x plus 3y is equals to 4, that's 5x plus 3y to be equals to 4, and 5x minus 3y is equals to 2. What is 25 x squared minus 9y squared? So simply 25x squared minus 9y squared is equals to 4 multiplied by 2, which is equals to 8. This is equivalent to option D. So when you look at some questions, don't feel perplexed. All you just need to know is what principle am I going to apply? And here we apply the difference of two squares. We are making progress on WAEC 2023 objective section, and I am fired up. Alright, you can like, subscribe the video, and share with your friends who are writing WAEC. Now let's proceed on to WAEC 22 objective question 14. Now the question says Mary has $3 more than Ben, but $5 less than Jane. If Mary has X dollars, how much does Jane and Ben have altogether? This is a very interesting question. The question involves Mary, it involves Ben, and it also involves Jane. So these three people, they made some comparison amongst them. If you do some form of data analysis, you understand this better. Now, the question says if Mary has $3 more than Ben, so that means when we subtract the value of Ben from Mary, we will be left with $3. And likewise, Mary has $5 less than Jane. So when we subtract Mary from Jane, subtract it from Jane, we'll be left with $5. Now, if Mary has X dollars, Mary is equals to X dollars. We should find Mary is equals to X dollars. The question answer is how much? Okay, this X is giving me an issue. The question says how much does Jane and Ben have together? So we are looking for Jane plus Ben. Alright, so where do we start from? Mary is equals to X dollars. Jane minus Mary is equals to $5. Mary minus Ben is equals to $3. So the first thing to do is to make the substitution of X. Okay, we are making the substitution of X, that's Mary, in these two cases. So wherever we see Mary, we make the substitution of X, and wherever we see Mary, we make the substitution of X. So in view of that, let's begin. So Mary is X. Let's just rewrite it. Mary minus Ben. Or instead of rewriting it, let's just duplicate what we have here for ease. So if we duplicate these now, and wherever we see Mary, we just substitute the value of X, because Mary is equals to X dollars. So we have X and we have X. So let's remove the dollars to make our work more simple. And in the same vein, let's remove this. Alright, we are making progress. Now we have X minus Ben is equals to 3 and Jane minus X is equals to 5. Now I want to find the expression of Ben plus Jane, or Jane plus Ben. To do this, all we just have to do now is to multiply these expressions together. or before we multiply the expressions together, we have to make Jane the subject of formula and also make Ben the subject of formula. So now let's make Ben the subject of formula here. So if you come here, we'll have that Ben is equals to x minus 3. Okay, and in this equation now, we have that Jane will be equals to 5 plus x, or we can just simply say x plus 5. So we made Jane and the subject of formula. So the next point now of action is to just add them. We are looking for Jane plus Ben. So Jane plus Ben will have how much? So Jane is x plus 5 and Ben is x minus 3 plus x minus 3. Let's focus on these and we're back. Now let's move forward to objective question 16. The question says, what value of p will make x squared minus 4x plus p a perfect square? So we're given x squared minus 4x plus p. This is a quadratic equation. Now the first thing we'll do is to refer back to the formulas of quadratic equation. That's ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Now when we solve this quadratic equation, this is the general equation. We will have three kinds of roots. We will have the equal roots, we will have the real roots, and we will also have the complex roots. Remember, the general formula for quadratic formula is given as x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a plus or minus. Now, all that will happen to give equal roots, real roots, and complex roots is based on the components of this b squared minus 4ac. Some people call it determinant and the rest, but then let's stick to this b squared minus 4ac. Now for the equal roots, the condition is that b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. For the real roots, we are saying that b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. And for the complex roots, b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. Now with this done now, what then will be the condition we're using for the perfect square? Now, when b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0, we have equal roots. That means there is a perfect square. So we have a perfect square. So now, comparing x squared minus 4x plus p, we want to compare it to ax squared plus bx plus c. We will have that a is equals to 1, b is equals to minus 4, and c is equals to p. So with the condition of equal roots and the condition of perfect squared, we can find the value of p. Because for a perfect squared, we have that b squared minus 4ac. Okay, b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. Question, what is b? B is equals to minus 4, so we have minus 4 squared minus 4. A is equals to 1, and c is equals to p is equals to 0. Let's rewrite this. Multiplied by p is equals to 0. So we can now solve for p now. So now let's solve for p. Minus 4 squared is 16. 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by p will give us 4p. So if we move p to the right hand side, we'll have 16 is equals to 4p. We can divide both sides by 4, and therefore we'll have p to be equals to 4, which is equivalent to option C. So we understand the principle of equal roots, real roots, and also complex roots. Let's move to the next question. Now question 17. The question says we should find the value of x such that 1 over x plus 4 over 3x minus 5 divided by 6x plus 1 is equals to 0. How do we find the value of x? The best way to find the value of x here now would be that we'll take the LCM. So we'll be adding the fractions together. So this one, we can rewrite it to give us 1 over 1. So what is the LCM here? The LCM will be 6x. So let's begin with 1 over x. So this 1 over x will result into 6 multiplied by 1. 3x or 6x divided by 3x, we will have 2 multiplied by 4. 6x divided by 6x, 6x divided by 6x, will have 1 multiplied by 5. 6x divided by 1, we have 6x multiplied by 1. Let's divide the 6x. And everything is equals to 0. So with this, we can cross multiply, and when we cross multiply, the right hand side will be equals to 0. Or before we cross multiply, let's simplify the numerator. So the numerator now, we have 6 plus 8 minus 5 plus 6x divided by 6x is equals to 0. So now let's cross multiply. So we have 6 plus 8 minus 5 plus 6x is equals to 6x multiplied by 0. Now anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So we have 6 plus 8 minus 5 is equals to 9. So we have 9 plus 6x to be equals to 0. So in view of this, you can find the value of x. Let's bring 9 to the right hand side. So we have 6x is equals to minus 9. Dividing both sides by 6, we'll have x to be equals to minus 9 divided by 6. And definitely this will result into minus 3 divided by 2. Minus 3 divided by 2 is equivalent to option B. So here we are. Moving on to question number 18, objective section of Wassce 2022. The question says, make T the subject of formula, and we are given the expression of K is equals to M, the square root of T minus P divided by R. So what are we making subject of formula? T. So let's change the ink to red. So this is what we are after. Now, the good thing is that this M is just a multiplier, is not the mth root, so we are still good to go. Now let's divide both sides by M. Divide both sides by M. Both sides by M. If we divide both sides by M, the left hand side will be K over M, and the right hand side will result into T minus P divided by R. T minus P divided by R. Now afterwards, we want to eliminate the square root. So for the square root now, we have to square both sides. Square both sides. So if you square both sides, the left hand side will have K over M all squared, and the left hand side will be the square root of T minus P over R all squared. Now the square root of T minus P over R all squared will be the same thing as T minus P over R, because we understand that this square root will be nullified by the square. Now let's simplify this left hand side with the application of the law of indices, because the law of indices simply states when we have A over B all squared, it will have A squared divided by B squared. Similarly, when we'll have AB all squared, we'll have A squared multiplied by B squared. Now, in view of that, simplifying the left hand side will give us K squared divided by M squared, and the right hand side will be T minus P divided by R. So remember, we are after making T the subject of formula. So to make T subject of formula now, we have to cross multiply. So let's cross multiply. So we will have K squared multiplied by R, that's K squared R, and we will also have equals to T minus P multiplied by M squared. So to move further, we can divide both sides by M squared, divide this also by M squared. So we don't have issues when multiplying out. So therefore we will have the left hand side to be K squared R divided by M squared, and the right hand side to just simply give us T minus P. Now remember, we are making T subject to formula, so now we can add P to both sides. So let's add P to both sides. Let's use a blue ink. Plus P plus P. So with this, we'll understand that plus P and minus P will nullify each other, and we will have T to be equals to P plus K squared R divided by M squared. Now this is the option, this is the final answer. However, if you look at the option, there is a simplification there. So we have to take the LCM using M squared, and then we'll move further and say this will give us P M squared plus K squared R. So accordingly, we can write this to give us T is equals to K squared R. Let's just say equals to K squared R plus PM squared divided by M squared, and this is equivalent to option B rather. because this k squared r can also be written as r k squared. So here we go. Let's take a quick recap on what we did. We have to make t solve formula. We divided both sides by m, and we have this. We squared both sides. We had this. We cross multiply, then divided both sides by m squared, and it was resolved to this. And at this point, we added p to both sides. So once we added p to both sides, we have this expression, and then we found the LCM, and we arrived at the final answer. Now we want to move further to WAEC 2022 objective question 19. And the question says, in the diagram, the length xy, that's this length, and yz are equal. So that's why we have this sign that shows equality. And the angle xyz is 130 degrees. We should find angle y. So let's focus on this diagram and look at how we can resolve this. Now, we are after this line, this angle y. But then to get the angle y, we will need a representation of the other angle. Let's call it A. So what we are doing now is in such a way that we are going backwards from the unknown to the known. So to get angle y, we need to know angle A, because we understand from the principle of angle on the straight line that the sum of angles on the straight line is equals to 180 degrees. So we have y plus A to be equals to 180 degrees. Now the question is, how do we get A? If you look closely at the triangle XYZ, that's this triangle, we will notice that it's an isosceles triangle. Now, if we have an isosceles triangle, we will understand that the base angle of isosceles triangle are equal. So therefore, we are saying this angle is also equals to A. So we are saying the angle XZY is equals to angle ZXY, which is equals to A degrees. And the reason being, the base angle of isosceles triangle, base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So in view of this now, how do we evaluate our A? So we can easily evaluate A where we consider triangle XYZ. We know the sum of angles in the triangle is equals to 180 degrees. So therefore we have A plus 130 degrees is equals to 180 degrees. What's the reason? Sum of angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So with this we can evaluate the value of A. So therefore we have this to give us 2A plus 130 degrees is equals to 180 degrees. Moving 130 to the right hand side, we have 2A is equals to 180 degrees minus 130 degrees. 2A is equals to 50 degrees. Therefore, A is equals to 50 degrees divided by 2. And we have A to be equals to 25 degrees. Now, if A is equals to 25 degrees, so we have this value of A corresponding to be 25 degrees. And likewise, this to be equals to 25 degrees. Now we can apply this principle that the sum of angles on the straight line is equals to 180 degrees. So let's apply that principle. I will say at point Z. Okay, let's call at point Z, y plus A is equals to 180 degrees. Because what's the reason? Sum of angles on a straight line is 180 degrees. So in view of that, y, A is 25 degrees, is equals to 180 degrees. So definitely y will be equals to 180 degrees minus 25 degrees. And this will be equated to 155 degrees. So now we have y to be equals to 155 degrees, which is what we are asked to find, equivalent to option D. So you can see that we went from the known to the unknown. So now we have y to be equals to 155 degrees. Now we are advancing. Let's proceed to WAEC 2022 objective question 20. The question says an exterior angle of a regular polygon is 22.5 degrees. We should find the number of sides. Now, when we have questions on polygon, the first thing we do is to write out all the formulas involved in polygon. So let's do that so we know which one to apply. The first formula in polygon is the sum of interior angles. Sum of interior angles is equals to n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. Likewise, the sum of exterior angles in a polygon is equals to 360 degrees. Now, we can relate the sum, the number of sides with exterior angle, and say that the number of sides, n, is equals to the sum of exterior angles, that's 360 degrees, divided by the exterior angle itself. So if we have 360 divided by the exterior angle, we'll have the number of sides. So this is about all the formulas in regular polygon. The rest are just application. So if you look closely to the question now, the question says the exterior angle of the regular polygon is 22.5. So we have exterior angle to be 22.5 degrees, and we have to find the number of sides. So all we just have to do is to apply the formula involving number of sides, and we have that the number of sides n is equals to the 360 degrees divided by exterior angle E. So in that case, we have 360 degrees divided by 22.5 degrees. If we use a calculator, 360 divided by 22.5, this will give us 16. So we have 16 sides, which is equivalent to option D. So know the formula to apply, interpret the question, and apply the formula.